Imagine ruling one of the most powerful empires on earth. Millions of people obey your commands. Massive armies fight in your name. Foreign rulers fear your growing power. To the outside world, you seem untouchable. But what if the people plotting your downfall weren't foreign enemies? What if they weren't rival kings or invading armies? What if they were your own family? Throughout history, countless rulers have fallen victim to betrayal, yet few stories are more shocking than those involving family members turning against one another in the ruthless pursuit of power. Today's story is about an emperor whose greatest threat did not come from outside his empire, but from within his own palace. His rise to power was remarkable. His reign seemed secure, but in the end, his own family would become the architects of his destruction. This is the tragic story of the emperor killed by his own family. The making of an emperor. The future emperor was born into privilege and power. From the moment he entered the world, expectations surrounded him. He belonged to a royal dynasty that had ruled for generations. His family possessed enormous wealth, influence, and political connections. As a young boy, he received the finest education available. He studied military strategy, he learned diplomacy, he was trained in politics, economics, and leadership. Everyone expected him to one day inherit the throne, yet becoming emperor would not be easy. The empire he hoped to rule faced many challenges. Enemies threatened its borders, corruption infected the government, powerful nobles competed for influence. The treasury struggled under increasing pressure. Many feared the empire was slowly declining. When his father died, the young prince finally inherited the throne. The responsibility was enormous. Many doubted whether he could handle it, but they were about to be proven wrong. A golden age begins. The new emperor quickly demonstrated remarkable abilities. Unlike many rulers who inherited power, he was ambitious and hardworking. He spent long hours studying reports from across the empire. He met military commanders regularly. He listened carefully to advisors. Most importantly, he acted decisively. The emperor reorganized the army. He strengthened border defenses. He improved tax collection systems. Trade routes became safer. Merchants grew wealthier. Cities expanded. The economy improved dramatically. As years passed, the empire entered a period of stability and prosperity. People praised the emperor, songs celebrated his victories, statues were built in his honor, foreign leaders respected him. Many believed he would be remembered as one of the greatest rulers in history. Unfortunately, success often creates new dangers, and those dangers were growing inside the emperor's own family. Family jealousy. The emperor's relatives watched his success with mixed emotions. At first, they were proud. After all, his achievements strengthened the family's position. But pride gradually transformed into envy. His brothers wanted influence. His cousins wanted wealth. His nephews wanted power. Many believed they deserved important roles in government. Some even thought they would make better rulers. The emperor, however, was cautious. He knew history was filled with royal betrayals. Many rulers had been overthrown by ambitious relatives. Determined to avoid such a fate, he limited the power of family members. Important positions went to trusted officials instead. Military commands were given to experienced generals. Key government offices were carefully controlled. The emperor believed he was protecting the empire. His relatives saw something very different. They saw rejection, they saw humiliation, and they saw lost opportunities. The seeds of betrayal. As years passed, resentment spread throughout the royal family. Private conversations became increasingly bitter. Family gatherings felt tense. Behind polite smiles lurked growing anger. Several relatives believed the emperor no longer trusted them. Others feared they would never achieve the influence they desired. One particularly ambitious relative became the center of opposition. He was intelligent, he was charismatic, and he was deeply frustrated. Unlike others, he wasn't willing to accept the emperor's decisions. He began speaking with dissatisfied family members. At first, their discussions were harmless. They complained about the emperor. They criticized his policies. They shared frustrations. But eventually, those conversations became far more dangerous. A question emerged. What if the emperor could be removed? A dangerous conspiracy. The idea seemed impossible at first. The emperor was protected by elite guards. He commanded powerful armies. The people supported him. Attempting to overthrow him appeared suicidal. Yet history has repeatedly shown that determined conspirators can achieve extraordinary things, especially when they possess insider knowledge. The emperor's relatives knew his routines. They knew his habits. They understood palace security. They knew whom he trusted. This information gave them an enormous advantage. Secret meetings began, plans were discussed, potential allies were recruited. Every detail was carefully considered. The conspirators knew failure would mean execution, but they also believed success would grant them unlimited power. Gradually, the conspiracy expanded. What started as private frustration evolved into a deadly plot. Warning signs. Not everyone supported the conspiracy. Some family members remained loyal. Several palace officials noticed unusual behavior. Rumors began spreading. Whispers circulated through the corridors of power. A few advisors warned the emperor. They reported suspicious meetings. They described growing unrest. They urged caution. The emperor listened but remained unconvinced. Surely his own family would never go that far. Blood ties meant something. At least he believed they did. This would become one of the greatest mistakes of his life. Because while he dismissed warnings, the conspirators continued preparing, and their plans were nearly complete. The perfect opportunity. Months of planning finally produced an opportunity. The conspirators understood they could not attack the emperor during a military campaign. They could not challenge him publicly. They could not risk confronting his personal guard. Instead, they needed isolation. They needed surprise. And above all, they needed trust. One evening, circumstances aligned perfectly. The emperor found himself surrounded by familiar faces, family members, relatives, people he had known for years, people he believed posed no threat. The atmosphere appeared normal. Nothing seemed unusual, but beneath the surface, everything had changed. The conspirators had made their decision. Tonight would be the night. The assassination. As darkness settled over the palace, events moved quickly. The emperor was caught completely off guard. One moment, everything seemed peaceful. The next, chaos erupted. The conspirators revealed their true intentions. The emperor was stunned. He recognized every face. These weren't strangers. These weren't foreign assassins. These were members of his own family. People he had celebrated with, people he had trusted, people who shared his blood. At first, disbelief overwhelmed him. Then came panic. The emperor attempted to defend himself. He shouted for help. He searched desperately for an escape. But the attackers had planned carefully. They knew exactly where to strike. They understood palace security. They anticipated his reactions. The struggle was brief but violent. Despite years of military success and political power, the emperor found himself helpless. The betrayal was simply too complete. Surrounded by relatives determined to seize power, he stood no chance. Within moments, it was over. The emperor collapsed. His reign had ended, not through invasion, not through rebellion, but through betrayal by his own family. Shockwaves through the empire. News of the emperor's death spread rapidly. The capital awoke to confusion and fear. Rumors filled the streets. Merchants discussed little else. Government officials scrambled for information. Many refused to believe the reports. An emperor killed by his own family? It sounded unbelievable, yet it was true. The public reaction was mixed. Some mourned the fallen ruler. Others celebrated the possibility of change. Most simply feared what would happen next. Whenever a powerful ruler dies unexpectedly, uncertainty follows, and uncertainty often leads to instability. The empire was about to learn that lesson firsthand. The family's victory turned sour. The conspirators initially celebrated their success. They had achieved what many thought impossible. The emperor was dead. The throne stood vacant. Power appeared within reach, but victory brought new problems. The same ambition that united them against the emperor soon divided them. Every conspirator believed he deserved influence. Every faction wanted control. Every relative dreamed of ruling. Arguments emerged almost immediately. Alliances collapsed. Friendships ended. Suspicion spread. The family that had worked together to eliminate the emperor now turned against itself. Political competition intensified. Soon, rivals became enemies, and enemies became threats. A cycle of betrayal history often repeats itself. The conspirators had overthrown one ruler through betrayal. Now they feared betrayal themselves. Trust vanished completely. Former allies monitored each other constantly. Secret plots multiplied. New conspiracies emerged. Several powerful figures disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Others were arrested. Some were executed. The cycle continued. Violence produced more violence. Suspicion created further suspicion. The family discovered an important truth. Destroying a ruler is far easier than creating stability afterward. The empire suffered as a result. Political chaos weakened the government. Economic growth slowed. Military effectiveness declined. The consequences of the assassination extended far beyond the palace walls. The legacy of the fallen emperor. Years later, historians continued debating the emperor's reign. Some viewed him as a strong leader who brought prosperity and stability. Others argued he had become too controlling and distrustful. Both perspectives contained elements of truth. The emperor achieved remarkable successes, yet his fear of betrayal damaged relationships with those closest to him. Ironically, the actions he took to protect his throne may have helped create the very conspiracy that destroyed him.